It's exactly 6 p.m. now, Cairo local time. It's a very good evening to our viewers and welcome to our English news bulletin here on Channel 2. I'm Angie Meher and we begin straight away with a look at the headlines. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi receives South Korea's presidential envoy in Cairo. Ukraine says a Russian overnight drone strike kills a family of 4 in the southeastern Sumy region. Welcome back. Now the details in full. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi received South Korea's presidential envoy Park Bom-tae in Cairo on Tuesday. The meeting was attended by the Foreign Minister Badr Abdelati and the South Korean ambassador in Cairo. During the meeting, the South Korean envoy handed President el-Sisi a message from South Korea's President Lee Jae-myung over the 30th anniversary of establishing diplomatic ties between the two countries. Myung said the message also expressed appreciation to Cairo's support to achieve peace in the Korean peninsula. Meanwhile, President el-Sisi hailed ties with South Korea, which he described as an active economic partner. El-Sisi also pointed out to the importance of Korean investments in Egypt, stressing keenness on continuing to expand economic partnership with South Korea. President el-Sisi reiterated Cairo's solid stand towards the situation in Gaza, calling on all countries which have not yet recognized the Palestinian state to do so quickly, as this is the only path towards achieving permanent peace and stability in the region. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi received Prince Rahim Aga Khan, head of the Aga Khan Development Network in Egypt. The meeting was attended by the Foreign Minister Badr Abdelati and the General Manager of the network's Cultural Fund, Louise Monreal. President el-Sisi congratulated the prince on assuming the helm of the network earlier this year, hailing his father's achievements in boosting development on the global stage. Sisi also said the network has played a pivotal role in supporting the state's efforts to achieve sustainable development and alleviate the living standards and services in a number of zones, as well as contributing to preserving Egypt's historic Islamic heritage. For his part, Prince Rahim said his father's efforts in the fields of social, economic and environmental development have contributed to preserving Islamic culture. He further expressed appreciation to Egypt's regional and international stand and highlighted his keenness on expanding cooperation with Egypt in various fields, specifically education and agriculture. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi issued Decree number 552 of 2025, calling the Senate to convene on Thursday, October the 2nd at 11 a.m. Cairo local time for the opening of the 6th ordinary session of the first legislative term. For his part, the Speaker of the Senate, Abdel Wahab Abdelrazik, said the Council will convene in its current formation on the date set by President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi's decree to complete the first legislative term, which constitutionally ends on October the 17th. And Prime Minister Dr. Mustafa Madbouli said that his field visit to Munofea Governorate reflects that the government's commitment to closely monitoring the progress of national projects in Egypt, particularly those under the presidential initiative Decent Life for Rural Development. His tour is part of the ongoing field visits designated to accelerate the implementation of national projects, resolve obstacles and ensure their completion within scheduled timelines to benefit from citizens nationwide. The tour includes reviewing projects currently underway, particularly in the education and health sectors, as well as other projects that serve the residents of Munofea. Madbouli also inspected the mobile library unit in a village of Shama Ashmun district. The Prime Minister emphasized that the model of these libraries contributes to the implementation of the state's plans to build human knowledge, as they reflect the idea of cultural justice by bringing culture to all villages and remote areas. They also promote values of belonging and loyalty and open broader horizons for children to learn and create, allowing them to go beyond the boundaries of schools and traditional learning environments. The joint Egyptian-Turkish naval exercise Sea of Friendship 2025, which aims to boost military cooperation, concluded after several days of activities in Turkish territorial waters. The drills included workshops to align operational concepts and live-fire exercises, natural capabilities, and exchange expertise in securing maritime routes against potential threats. The Minister of Foreign Affairs, Immigration and Expatriates, Badr Abdulati, received on Tuesday a phone call from the U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio. During the call, Abdulati expressed appreciation for President Donald Trump's sincere efforts to stop the war in Gaza and said that Egypt has welcomed these efforts. Abdulati also expressed Egypt's hope for a swift end to the war and a de-escalation of tensions to restore calm, stability and security in the region. In the same context, Abdulati stressed the need for humanitarian aid to be delivered in quantities which are sufficient and commensurate with humanitarian catastrophe, as well as the withdrawal of Israeli forces from the Gaza Strip and the non-annexation of the West Bank. For his part, Rubio said Washington looks forward to intensifying and continuing joint coordination with Egypt in the coming period to stop the war in Gaza, praising Egypt's leading role in achieving peace and stability in the region. European capitals have expressed support, meanwhile, to Trump's Gaza plan. The British Prime Minister Keir Starmer's office said the UK strongly supported Trump's efforts to end the fighting, release the hostages, and ensure the provision of urgently needed humanitarian assistance for the people of Gaza.
Wafa news agency said Gaza City has been witnessing heavy Israeli bombardment for days. The blatant aggression has raised the death toll to at least 66,000 Palestinians, mostly civilians.
Meanwhile, a Palestinian source close to Hamas said that the group is reviewing U.S. President Donald Trump's proposal for ending the Gaza war, which is backed by the Israeli Prime Minister. Hamas has begun a series of consultations within its political and military leaderships, both inside Palestine and abroad. The movement said they're open to all proposals and will present a national response that represents both Hamas and the resistance factions. Meanwhile, the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said he did not agree to a Palestinian state during his talks with U.S. President Donald Trump at the White House the previous day. U.S. President Donald Trump secured Netanyahu's backing for a wide-ranging Gaza peace plan, as the two sides warned that Israel would finish the job against Hamas if the Palestinian resistance group rejects this deal. The 20-point plan calls for a ceasefire, release of hostages by Hamas within 72 hours, disarmament of Hamas and gradual Israeli withdrawal from Gaza, followed by a post-war transitional authority headed by Trump himself. In a joint press conference with the United States President, Netanyahu said the plan achieves both sides' war aims. He said that if Hamas rejects the plan, then the Israelis will finish the job themselves. Egypt has launched its 44th humanitarian aid convoy, codenamed Zed al-Azza, on Tuesday. The trucks departed from the Rafah border crossing on the Egyptian side, heading towards the Karam Abu Salim crossing in the southeast Gaza Strip. A source at the Rafah crossing confirmed the convoy carries thousands of tons of relief supplies, including essential food items, shelter materials, medical supplies, curative medicine, as well as 3 trucks loaded with fuel. The Zed al-Azza from Egypt to Gaza initiative initially was launched by the Egyptian Red Crescent on July 27th and has consistently delivered critical aid to the Gaza Strip. Ukraine said on Tuesday that a Russian overnight drone strike had killed a family of 4 in the northeastern Sumy region. The head of the regional military administration said Russian forces had hit a residential building in a village in the Krasnopilya community. Russia's defense ministry said it had intercepted and destroyed 81 Ukrainian drones overnight. Meanwhile, the governor of Volgograd said the Russian military had repelled a massive Ukrainian drone attack over the southern region. Now moving to some business news, the head of the Suez Canal Economic Zone, Walid signed a contract of establishing plastic hyper projects for recycling in the West Kantara Industrial Zone during his promotional campaign in Turkey. The project will be implemented in 2 phases with a total area of 100,000 square kilometers and total investments worth $40 million. The project provides 700 direct job opportunities. Suez Canal Economic Zone said in a statement that recycling is the first in the West Kantara Economic Zone as it preserves the environment with 0 emissions. The Ministry of Planning, Economic Development and International Cooperation announced that Egypt's GDP growth rate has continued to rise in the 4th quarter of the fiscal year 2024-25, reaching about 5% more compared to 204% in the same quarter of the previous year. Continued recovery of the non-oil manufacturing activity was particularly evident, with growth reaching 18.8% in the 4th quarter and about 14.7% for the fiscal year as a whole. Now moving to the exciting world of sports, kicking off with Al-Ahli that beat Zamalek 2-1 in a thrilling Premier League derby held at Cairo International Stadium. Liverpool will be without Federico Chiesa when they take on Galatasaray in the Champions League on Tuesday, with manager Arne Slot confirming the Italian forward has not recovered from a knock sustained in Saturday's defeat by Crystal Palace. Chiesa, who scored Liverpool's only goal, was added to their European list last week in place of the injured Giovanni Leoni. However, Slot said the winger is not in the 21-man group travelling to Istanbul after failing to finish training, with the club opting to protect him ahead of their next league match against Chelsea. After Liverpool's first Premier League loss of the season, Slot called for a response, saying his team created enough against Palace but were undone by defensive lapses. With that, ladies and gentlemen, we wrap up this evening's English News Bulletin here on Channel 2. My name is Angie Meher. Thank you for watching.